Welcome to the MSP Corner podcast. Before we kick off our show, we would like to share what our main objective is at the MSP Corner. Our main goal is to help CEOs build profitable and self-sustainable IT service firms. We are not just providing tools for IT firms, we will be sitting in meetings with you to ensure your IT firm stays on track. The first area we are focused on, strategic sales. IT firms are stuck selling technology or IT support. We will provide you with the blueprint so you position your firm as an added value to your prospects. We will have framework on how to sell value so you influence the prospect into selecting your firm. The second area we see many IT firms struggle in is marketing. 90+% of businesses rely on antiquated marketing methods. The most popular choice, word of mouth. We have proven methods on how to attract the ideal prospect. Our framework will include how to become the online authority and be the business influencer for an industry. The third component to our package, scaling. IT firms walk away from opportunities because they lack the bandwidth or skill set to scale. We have lined up reputable businesses so our members can hire on-demand resources that will allow them to scale their business. The fourth area we will offer help in, selecting the right tools. In order to deliver value, you need the right tech stack. Our platform will offer information on products that are the ideal choice for MSPs. The fifth area we will offer help in is with documentation. Templates are a critical component when building an MSP. We will have contracts, proposals, SOWs, collateral, and much more in the template section. You will have every document you need to start up your managed IT service business. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go to our next podcast. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the MSP Corner podcast. I am your host, Fernando Leon, and I'm joined by my co-host, Gregory Morawietz. And today we're going to talk about a topic that needs to be brought up more often because MSPs are sitting on gold mines and they're not taking advantage of their position. So the name of the show is today's show's name is Scaling Your MSP, the Hidden Revenue in Your Existing Clients. So before we start, we have an agenda. And like always, we have an introduction. And we're going to talk about 3, 4, 5 topics here. Understand your client's business evolution, solve problems before the client recognizes them, make every touch point valuable. We'll talk about offering a roadmap, not just a service, and strengthening executive level buy-in. And then a real quick plug on MSP Corner, and then some closing thoughts. So let's start this show up. So welcome again to today's episode, where we're gonna uncover the biggest missed opportunities for MSPs and expanding services with existing clients. I mean, that's just a big opportunity that's being missed. So we're gonna be discussing that and talking to Gregory about it because he has a lot of experience in this area. And today we're gonna sit down and discuss with Gregory 5 proven strategies so you guys can maximize client value, you can increase retention, and so you can easily scale your MSP, all without chasing new leads. So as you know, you've already done the hard part. You've landed the client. But what if I told you that most MSPs are leaving thousands of dollars on the table? And like I mentioned, today we're going to break down 5 ways MSPs can maximize value with existing clients and scale smarter, not harder. So Greg's on the hot seat. And Gregory,
let me ask you first. One of the biggest mistakes MSPs make is assuming a client's needs never change. What do you think happens when MSPs fail to keep up with their clients' business evolution? Do you see? I know change comes slow. It's not like it comes overnight, but how often do you see businesses evolving? They're changing. Their needs change. Is it every 6 months, once a year? How often should you be checking in with the clients?
Yeah, I see their changes occur suddenly, unexpectedly, and infrequently. So it's very hard to say that they're all going to, that if you check in every 6 months, it's going to be something new. And I'll give you an example. I was working with a construction company, and things were just smooth, man, smooth, smooth, smooth for years and years and years and years. And I went into their office and I noticed that they had like 2,500 filing cabinets, just filing cabinet after filing cabinet after filing cabinet everywhere throughout the building. And I was like, wow, what's in all these filing cabinets? I mean, wall to wall, wall. They're all
Yeah.
our customer stuff for the past 20 years.
Wow.
I'm all, you're storing it all on paper? And they said, yeah, that's how we do it. And I went, you need to go paperless.
Yeah.
Got them some high speed scanners and got them digital.
Nice.
But
Nice.
no one, I mean, no one came up to me and said, we need to go digital.
Yeah. Well, what I see, this is what I've discovered is they're so busy. They have tunnel vision. Their main focus and the CEO's focus is their tunnel vision is growth, strategy, management, delegation, all of that. And you're right. I remember an old client that we worked with for 20 plus years, and Chris and I were constantly meeting with them at least every 6 months to discuss their budget and their plans for growth and plans for, hey, we're expanding the manufacturing floor another 50,000. We're adding 50,000 square feet. We begin construction next in a few months. We're going to need to build a very robust Wi-Fi infrastructure. We need to plan what hardware we need. So, and that's we had a great grip on this one client, and it was because of just constant communication with them. But they, I could say this about this client: they every year we had a conversation about growth, about
Because they had a budget and they wanted to spend money on IT.
yeah, they were very proactive. Even though the CEO was so not technical, he didn't even want to have any type of technical discussion, which is typical. And we
Well,
so we
no, it's not typical because in the biome in the Bay Area, you have a lot of these people who think they know technology, and you can't have a technical conversation with them because they don't want to.
uh,
Not that they don't know what technology is, they just don't care. They don't want to talk to you. They don't believe you.
yeah. Well, this I don't know if you can consider this firm in the Bay Area. They were 100 miles outside of San
Yeah, I know
Antonio.
who you're talking about, and I know
Yeah,
what they're all about, and they weren't all about. They just said, "Do it, whatever it costs."
yeah, yeah,
Just make it so that we're running efficiently, running smoothly. We were like, okay.
yeah. Well, let's just say thank goodness they embraced the cloud because they eventually ended up going to the cloud. They had a large infrastructure in house, and they eventually just all went to the cloud. So, but they were a little old school also.
Yeah.
Now, what's the best way? In your because you've been doing this for almost for over 30 years now. Now, what's the best way an MSP can uncover new service opportunities? Opportunities, is it through quarterly business reviews, QBRs, regular check-ins, or do you have another idea of a best approach?
Yeah. I mean, you could go there, you could go there and be there, see what they're doing.
That's a great point. I didn't think about that. because we're so stuck on with our own tunnel vision of providing remote support. And COVID didn't help. We got too comfortable, or we just got conditioned with, okay, we're just going to do everything remotely now. And people were, businesses were fine with it. And but I think you're right. You need to go physically there every once in a while. And
You
here's another,
do.
yeah, and here's another point that I want to make on missed opportunities. If you do not stay in contact with your client, you won't know if they're opening up an office in another state, or or in another part of the city where, hey, they might need physical people there, or they might need you there to build their environment, to build a high tech Wi-Fi environment. Who knows, right? There could be a big project, and then a physical person might need to be there once a week or something. So you never know unless you go in and you start talking to people. And there's a lot of IT people that they're not great at that, and I'm just going to tell them, get comfortable being uncomfortable. If you want to build your company, you have to go in there and be sociable. You just have to. There's just no way around it.
I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to fall on a lot of deaf ears, because you could say that all you want. It's not, you got introverts and stuff here that are just never going to do that.
But here's the thing. You're right. I agree with you. Get a founder. Get another founder who's more sociable, a sales guy who's ready to go out there.
Yeah. Let me clap my hands and have that happen. You're crazy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
So-
No way.
Well, you might not be able to do it in the beginning, but if you save your money, you get.
No, I'm going to tell you the solution here. I'm going to give you an example, story, and a solution.
Okay.
So one customer we were dealing with, we're doing help desk support, server support for, right? And they're like, hey, can you install these new printers we bought? And we're like, wait a second, what do you mean new printers you bought? When did you buy new printers? Oh, yeah, I bought all these new printers. I bought like 11 of them or whatever for my big office.
Yeah.
And you're like, 11 printers? That's like $22,000, $30,000. What's going on? Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you give me a chance to shoot a bid over? Why didn't you give me you know what I mean? And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't know you sold hardware. Not all you did was support.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there like looking at yourself going, what have I done wrong? I meet with this guy, take him out to lunch. Do I have to sit there and rattle off all of the things we do for him every week? I mean, every month? Even after I told this other guy that we sold Sophos or whatever, he went with CDW. He didn't even call me.
Yeah.
He just went with CDW. He said it was easier. He said he got his quote online within seconds. With me, it takes like 3 days because of all the dirty birdies that support me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I call Cinex or Ingram Micro for a quote, and they get back to me 2 or 3 days later. He's already ordered it online on CDW. So there's a lot of, there's a fine line on what you communicate to and how you communicate it to your customer. What's effective, what's not effective. It's not easy, man.
I know, and I didn't say it was easy. Did I?
Well, you said get a new founder.
Well,
new founder. What are you rubbing a genie lamp or something? You got a genie in your bottle? Hey, I'd like a new founder. I wish there was a new founder.
Here's the thing. It's okay if you're an introvert. I'm not saying you can't be an introvert. All I'm saying is, if you want to grow, you gotta be okay with being uncomfortable. And if you don't want to grow, that's okay too. That's fine. But there are some guys out there that want to grow and they're introverts, and I'm just trying to inspire them. I'm trying to encourage them. That's it. I'm trying to be a Tony Robbins here. Right?
I got you. I'll support that.
Yeah.
Give him a pep talk. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pep them
yeah.
up.
Because I don't know what their reasons are, but I'm going to give you my reasons for me not wanting to do some things because it's the unknown. Marketing was very hard for me to embrace because I figured, okay, I got to be super creative. I don't know anything about marketing. I have to learn everything and I don't want to fail. So I just realized one day I'm not going to grow as an individual unless I learn something new, unless I fail. Failure to me means growth, it means lessons, it means you are growing as an individual. So I'm like, look, I can't grow as an individual if I don't learn something new and I try it and I fail, and I have to be okay with failing. And I'm very comfortable with failing. And you just move on, right? You got to move on and take your lumps and move on to the next challenge. But yeah, this is a pep talk, and you know I'm a very helpful person, as are you. We're very helpful people, and we help a lot of I at least I do. I get on calls with CEOs who suck at selling, and I sell for them, just so they learn, just so they understand the sales process, the questions I ask, the approach I take, the entire process, because they're not great at it. So, and I'm very comfortable with it. So, but and I hold their hands for a while just so they till they get the hang of it. But I understand the uncomfortableness. I get it. I've been there. Let's just say I've been there. All right. Move on to the next topic of solving problems before your client recognizes them. So most MSPs wait for their clients to come to their IT office or call them to let them know there's a problem. But I'm going to say legitimate MSPs don't are not in this position. I'm going to say break fakes or IT service firms who are still haven't embraced the proactive model. But let's talk about, why is that a losing strategy? What are your thoughts on that, Greg? Because I have my own thoughts.
What is the question?
Most IT firms wait for their clients to come to them with their problems. Why is that a losing strategy?
Well, in some scenarios, it's not. It's just the way it is. You can talk about being proactive. You can talk about trying to get ahead of the game and get ahead of the story, but it's not always as easy as you think it can be. Sometimes you have to just wait. Other times to be in the right place at the right time. Sometimes I'm visiting a customer and I'll overhear some employees talking about something like, "Oh yeah, we got to open a new facility next month." And you're like, "Wait a second. Why didn't anybody tell me about this?" And then you go back to your manager or your customer and you're like, "Hey, what's going on?" They're all, "Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that." Well, let's talk about it. So you could create your own scenarios, but it's hard. It's hard to go somewhere and be like, "Hey, why don't you just go paperless? Here's the
Yeah,
cost." And they're going to be like, "Why? I didn't ask for this.
yeah,
Why are you giving
yeah.
this to me?" So it's harder than you think.
Well, okay, let's just. I know, and you're right. There's just some things that you just are out of your control. But but you can automate patching. Am I right or am I wrong?
You can, but I mean, patching in the grand scheme of things is not a huge win for you, right? It's not going to be like victory dance like a sale will be. A sale will be victory dance and a win for you, or more business or expanded business. Patching computers just means you're doing your it's like the most rudimentary part of our job. We're doing our job.
I Okay,
Even if you're break fix, people
okay,
think you're patching their computers.
okay. Well, hold on.
All right.
Patching and then instructing the end users reboot your computer or shut your computer down every night. Is that going to reduce the amount of problems you have? if you patch them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it
Okay.
can't hurt. Why?
Okay.
You know, patching something, the whole premise of the patch is that you're helping them out, right?
Okay.
The whole
Yes.
the whole word patch means you're doing something helpful.
Okay. Obviously, hopefully, you are doing the bare minimum of saying, hey, let's put a firewall at the perimeter, and we're going to implement backup, and we're going to implement EDR. So we are at least have a layer of security, 2 layers of security. Oh, excuse me, 2 layers of security. And if there is a hiccup or somebody messes up and we need to restore the data, you have data to restore. I mean, that's you don't want to have, okay, let's just say this. Let's say you didn't implement a backup solution, but you do have EDR, but somebody loses their computer or gets stolen, but you got to restore that data. You have backup in place. But let's say you didn't have backup in place and your client's like, oh my goodness, we need to restore Tom's computer. Oh, we don't have backups. That's a big matzo ball you're looking in the face, right? I mean, you're like, why do we not have backups? Why is a client telling you, you're our technology consultant, you're our technology expert, our guide, our the person who's in charge of this. Why didn't you recommend backup? And did you recommend the right backup? Because you talk about raw backup and you talk about what's the other type of
Well,
backup?
who are you? You're saying you. Who are you? You know, I am Gregory. Who am I? I'm nobody.
No,
I
no, no, no,
mean, what? I mean,
no, no, no. You
when
are
you
no,
have a
you
customer who signs a contract with you and they want
yeah,
18 bagels a day,
yeah.
is it, you know, they didn't ask for cream cheese, but you know it needs to go with it, but they didn't ask for it. So who are you? Do you go in there and you're all, you dummies need cream cheese? I mean, or what are you doing? I mean, who are you? Who do you think you are?
Well,
You know
hold
what I
on.
mean?
Hold on. No, no,
All
no, no,
right.
no, no. I take a very different approach than you. See, you and I have different mindsets.
All right.
I am okay, Gregory. I'm your personal trainer. You're gonna have a freaking heart attack if you don't lose 300 pounds or 100 pounds,
You're
right?
telling somebody about their weight when you're their personal trainer.
Hold
It's
on. Hold
relevant,
on. Hold
but
on.
unasked for.
But you came to me for expertise. You came to me and said, I got to lose 100 pounds. I want to be healthy. And then I see you on the street and you're eating a donut. And I'm like, Greg, what's up? Dude, we talked about your goals. We talked
Okay,
about,
okay, I got you. But what if I came to you and said, Fernando, I need to bench press 150 pounds by the end of the month?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Would you tell me that I was fat, or what would you do there?
Okay, good question. I would say, I would first look at you and say, if that's your goal, great. This is the plan. This is the plan. I'm going to come up with a plan for you.
All right, I got
And
you.
then and then let's say that plan says you need to be in the gym 5 days a week, and I only see you coming in once a week. I'm gonna walk up to you and say, "Hey, we've set a goal. You're not gonna hit 150 pounds at the end of the month because you're not sticking to the plan, right?" So the same
But
thing
that
with
has nothing to do with my weight. You haven't brought my weight in the picture yet.
no, no, no. I don't know if you're overweight.
I am.
Oh, you are overweight.
But I didn't
Well, then
ask you for anything other than to help me reach my goal of bench pressing 150 pounds.
okay, so let's then you should have given me the whole picture.
All
Okay.
right, I'm giving you the
Let
picture now.
okay, so you're overweight. You want to bench press 250 pounds at the end of the month. That's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
I would say I would look at you and say, have you met with your doctor and
Why would
discuss
I need to meet with a doctor? I
have you
have this goal of reaching this 250 pounds bench press. What does my doctor have to do with any of it?
well, I'm concerned about your weight, Greg. I'm
Well, I
concerned
didn't ask
because
you about my weight. I didn't ask you about my weight. I asked you to help me reach my goal of bench pressing 250 pounds. You're not listening to me. You're not
but
being my partner.
okay, okay, let's turn it to the network now.
All
The
right.
client comes to us and says, "Hey, I need tech support." Great. I see a water, a a fire hose or a water sprinkler right above the server. It's
The
actually,
hundreds of times I've told them that, they
yeah.
have never moved the server room or the
Okay,
sprinkler.
hold on. I'm not done yet.
Yeah, I got
Right.
you. I hear you on that one.
So I could either ignore it and look and turn a blind eye, or I could go to the CEO and say, "Look, we need to move that 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 that
Mm,
that
no, you're
frame."
going to say to them, I suggest you move it.
Yes.
You're not
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
say,
yeah, yeah.
we have to move it or we need to move it now.
Yeah.
Because I did that many, many times. Nobody listens to me. They really want to get from you the least possible, the least possible expenses that are going to, they don't think the way you and I do.
Then
They have a different methodology in their brain about saving money.
then you as an individual, you as an organization you need to have a come to Jesus moment. You need to have a come to Jesus. Your client needs to have a come to Jesus moment. Because let me tell you, if they're not going to listen to you, they don't see any value in you. So you need to come to
Hmm.
a decision that you're either going to fire the client, or you're going to apply some heavy pressure and say, you're going to have to move that, or you're going to have to find yourself another technical guy who you can turn into your hand puppet.
I mean, this is where we're at odds constantly, you and I. We're on two different pages, and
We are.
we don't ever see eye to eye on this,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I know what reality is and you are in your ivory tower, and it's nice to say fire customers, and if they don't see value, I mean, use all the fluffy words, but you're never behind the eight ball. You're never on the receiving end,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Of a lot of,
Yeah.
you have been on the receiving end of pain. And once you're on the defensive from that moment forward. It's not like you're going to go to them and say, oh, yeah, by the way, this is also effed up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they're going to be
Yeah.
like, enough is enough. I've heard enough. You're fired. You know what I mean? It's a tough scenario, man.
It is. It is. But you do have to draw a hard line. You do. You do. You have to. You have to. And I know.
Well, in a world where options are limited, I would agree with you. If you're like for instance, I'll give you many examples: Apple, Microsoft, Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, Xfinity. If you don't like what they're telling you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? In that world, I agree with you. You could just say to them, look, like who do you have? AT&T, Xfinity, who do you have over there?
I have AT&T.
Okay, so AT&T comes to you and goes, Fernando, gonna increase your bill by 100%, and I need you to rent this whiz banger box from me for $50 a month.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna be like, I guess I'm going with Comcast now. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? But if you're low on choice, if you're like, well, all right, okay.
Yeah.
You're not even looking at it from a perspective of, is this a good service or not? You're just looking at it going, these guys are telling me what to do. I don't know if I want to do it, but I have very little choice.
Yeah. 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 No. No. I agree. But do you also okay? How do you feel when, because we've decided that, hey, we're going to be the experts in this industry. We're going to be this industry's expertise. They're expert. They're the value we deliver to these firms. Do you feel like it's all these other firms that are getting on their soapbox and saying, you got to pick an industry, and you got to draw a hard line, and you set your price, and you charge $500 per end user a month, blah blah blah, because you're the expert? You think that's all a bunch of hogwash? Because you
If
just
I
said,
was an attractive man,
yeah,
if I was really attractive and I was good to go to bars, and I
yeah,
was going to be like, if this man said to me, here's this winning strategy for picking up ladies,
yeah,
and I was using it and it was effective
yeah,
because I was attractive and I was well dressed and I had a nice car and all that. If all that were set up for me in place, I agree with you. Your whole, your spiel about being confident and saying this and that and the other thing is going to bite. It's going to have purchase. But if I'm hideously ugly, I don't dress well, I have food all over my clothes, and I smell, and I have a crappy car, nothing you tell me to do is going to work
Mm,
ever. And
mm,
so you have to get your house in order. You have to be set up, like you're saying, be an expert. Like if we were SQL experts or if we were Ruby on Rails experts and it was hard to find somebody to do that work, we could command a lot more respect. We could command a lot more attention. People would listen to us more. But
yeah,
we are in such a generalized field that you can pick and choose who you want. I would say a cartoon character as your mascot would be better than what you've been talking about.
sure, sure.
Do you know what I mean? A cartoon character, a relatable dinosaur
Mm.
would be better than telling somebody that, what to do. I don't know how hard it is to understand that, but when you when you're trying to tell someone or fire someone for your customer or trying to demand or even suggest even to be nice about it, if you're suggesting things and they're not listening to you and you're going to fire them, it's going to be a hard life for you. But if
Well,
you have,
how about we go? How about we take it in a different direction? Because
all right,
this was about we don't want clients coming to us with the problem. How about, obviously you want to do an assessment before you take over a network, and then you can determine, just like you just said, you want to provide them with a friendly price, because clients always freak out over price. But do you think it would help? And I think it would. Is when you ask them, you come to them and you say, "Hey, look, if you don't want," and you got to be really careful on your choice of words, because C level, the C-suite, they want to hear specific words said to them. They don't want to hear, "Hey, if we install EDR, we're going to catch ransomware and viruses and phishing, and it's just a technical marvel on preventing any type of security breaches and blah blah blah." What they want to hear is, if we come up with a security strategy, it's going to increase production and you're going to have less disruptions to your network. Do you want me to come up with a security strategy for you? Or are you okay with disruptions to your network? How do you feel about that approach?
yeah, that's an interesting approach. Like giving someone a decision, giving somebody. I've done this before, and I thought it would work, but it failed. I gave somebody two options. I said you can either do A or B. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't give them the option of not doing it, right? And then they
yeah.
went with some other group who said that's hogwash. You should need to do C. And I was like, well,
What
okay. I
was
mean,
C? Did you find out what C was?
C was just to do nothing.
Ah, okay.
So that other group said, don't do these things they're telling you to do. They're extra. They're over. Overblown. They're trying to rip you off, or
Yeah.
whatever they said. And then they pulled over their business to themselves.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. I think the only way you could win, you could build trust, and you could build the credibility is when you are presenting yourself and you say, "Hey, Mr. CEO, I want to do a security assessment. We've discussed that you have these problems. One of your employees opened a phishing email. You lost some money. You transferred money when you didn't want to. Um, you One of your computer or your network was held ransom because somebody downloaded ransomware. I've got all these problems. Can I do a security assessment? Okay, great. I did it. Okay, I've come up with a plan, and we've come up with a plan. So your people are trained with phishing. your network is going to be secure with EDR. And if, let's say, somebody does download ransomware, the EDR will flag it and quarantine that machine so it doesn't spread. And we've discussed that your goal is to secure your network, and that you want your people to be productive. I just came up with a plan to solve that challenge. And this is how much it's going to cost each month. Are you okay with this cost? Does this meet, can you invest in this type of strategy? How
I
do you
like
like
it
that?
because it was customer motivated, not you. You
Yeah,
didn't come up with it. They are
yeah,
asking you for help in certain areas, and you're
yeah.
saying this is the help you should be getting.
Yes. No, no, no. I agree. I think there's a very specific approach that you need to take,
Agreed.
uh, depending on the scenario. It just all depends on the scenario. I
Agreed.
mean, okay. Let's say a company calls us tomorrow, Greg, and they're like, "Hey, Fernando, I want to meet with you, and I want to replace my MSP." I'm like, "Okay, that's great. Let's have a call." So we have the call. When I put them through a sales process, one of the questions is, "Why are we talking? What? Why? If you've already told me that you're working with an MSP, why are you talking to me?" "Well, I'm unhappy." "What are you unhappy about?" "Well, we've outgrown them." Another one would be, we enter a ticket and they we don't know when they're going to get back to us. Um, we need support after hours. We have offices in other parts of the world, and those end users need support after hours, right? So our IT service firm is not, they're holding up production. So I'm going to, and then after we go put them through this whole sales process, I said, great. I'm going to come up with a presentation and a proposal that'll solve your problems, and it will give you a cost when we're done. When we're done with the presentation, how do you feel about that? Great, because I'm going to solve your problems, and we're going to present how we're going to solve those problems. So we do, and people love the process, but you need to have a process that solves problems. But first, you need to expose all the problems. But if they came back to me and said, "Oh no, I'm just shopping around. I'm happy with my IT firm. We're going to end the call right then and there. I'll be in touch with you in 6 months because you're happy. There's nothing I can do. I'm I could give you a price. I could give them a quote, but then that tells me, tell me if I'm wrong, that they're there's no value.
Shopping you. They're
See,
just
yeah,
shopping you.
they're shopping and they don't see value in IT. So the next low baller can easily replace you,
Low
right?
ballers can replace you. You're right.
Low ballers can replace you, and I don't want to race to the bottom. I don't want to do that. You've got to position yourself as a value add partner, so your clients view you as a partner, not just some vendor, not another IT service firm. I want people to want to first date and have a quick engagement and have a shotgun wedding. Like, Fernando, you're going to marry me today. There's not going to be any wait time, right? So that's the kind of relationships I'm trying to build now. But yeah. But anyways, we're beating a dead horse here. Um, just for some of the listeners, tell them if there's some tools or processes MSPs can use to identify client risks, before they escalate. Anything off the top of your head?
I mean, you could go through a risk exercise. You could do a risk analysis of your customer and figure out what might go wrong in the future. Sure, you could do that as an exercise. Sure.
As an
Um,
exercise. So
yeah,
this is
there's risk
a process.
templates, risk analysis templates you'd go
Okay.
through.
Okay, that's good. That's good. 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 But just the standard stuff, you would have them implement the standard tools like the tech stack, the RMM,
Yep,
the
yep, yep,
EDR
yep,
backup, ticketing. Ticketing is very important. Okay. All
yep.
right. So let's talk about valuable touch points. Right. Many MSPs send boring, dry technical reports. What do you consider a better approach to client communication besides just a report?
I mean, reports, I just drop reports in buckets now.
Okay.
Um, Getting together with your customer or talking to them verbally, there's nothing better, or having a meeting with them, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, can you
I mean,
do it? Can you
we
do it? Maybe.
well, I want to turn the mindset of a lot of these guys so they're talking differently. Like let's say, because you want to give something meaningful to a business leader or to the CEO or the C-suite or whoever you're meeting with. So let's say you have a security report, and you could send this information one of two ways. Instead of saying we blocked 1,500 threats last month, C-suites, they want to hear something different. They don't want to hear that you blocked 1,500 threats. They want to hear we prevented 1,500 security threats that could have cost your business thousands in downtime. Thousands of dollars in downtime. And if if you word it that way, you're going to be viewed as somebody who is delivering value to them. Because at the end of the day, this term value is a new coin. It's not a new coin phrase, but it's been coming up a lot in the past. Would you say 5 years, Greg?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. It's delivering value is the new way of communicating with um, with businesses. So offering a roadmap, and not just a service. So if clients don't know what's next, they're not going to invest in more services. So why is an MSP roadmap essential for long-term growth?
Why is a
The,
roadmap?
yes, would you consider an MSP roadmap essential for long-term growth? So you could see you're great at at walking into an office and saying, "Man, we can automate a lot of this stuff. We can go paperless because you have all these files and save all this space, and you can stop renting space in the storage facility and get rid of all the paper in there and blah blah blah," right? So you could see that you see ways for improving how a business runs. So the more you embed yourself in there, but you also have to be part of meetings. There's monthly meetings executives have, and they discuss their challenges within their organization. And I think it's important that you be part of those meetings, because then you can hear them talking. Hey Bill, why did the manufacturing floor come to a halt on Saturday for 5 hours? Well, Mr. CEO, we lost power, or we lost internet connection, or whatever. You could get that information and say, okay, we need to get redundant power. We need to get a what you call it, a generator or whatever. Or, oh, we only have one internet connection coming to the office. Let's get a redundant line. So that type of roadmap, you could coming up with all this information, or as you come across this information, you can come up with an MSP roadmap, because you can say, hey, guys, for the last 6 months, I've been hearing all these complaints, and I've come up with a roadmap for the next year. I've created budgets and plans. We could do this quarterly, monthly, however you want. But what do you think about first solving a very critical problem? Redundancy with the internet, redundancy with whatever, right? The people in China couldn't get access to our manufacturing floor, to the network for designs or whatever. Why is that? Oh, the server was down. Oh, shoot. Well, let's figure out how we can have redundant servers or whatever, right? So you got to come up with strategies like that in order to deliver value And so the business, the C level, the C suites view you as somebody who comes up with solutions. It's not just a cost center. It's not just a vendor. It's not somebody who takes up space and sends you a bill every month, right? You're somebody who brings value to their organization, and that's what executives want to see now. They don't just want to see somebody who sends them a bill every month and solves problems for them. They want to see value. And you got to get in that mindset, or we're going to be getting our butts kicked. What do you think about that?
Wow, that's a lot. You loaded me down with a lot.
Well, just think about it. All right.
Well, I'll tell you a second for the last part.
Yeah,
If I bring you lunch, right?
yeah,
And the first day and it's just a Coke,
yeah.
you'd be like, well, that's not really lunch. Can you do better? And I'm like, okay, the next day I bring you a sandwich and a Coke, and you're like, this is better, but it's not what I was thinking about. But then the next day I bring you a sandwich, a Coke, chips, and some potato salad and napkins, and I have some mariachi band there to
Yeah.
entertain you. You're like, wow, this is the best lunch ever. Well, where do you go after that? You know what I mean? You're doing a great job. You're doing a fantastic job, but then it's just a a rote routine,
But
right?
hold on. But you've already admitted that a company is evolving. They evolve. They're changing. You've got to be there for that change.
Some of them are.
Okay.
And like I
Well,
said, I did tell you, it's sudden, infrequent, and unexpected.
you did say that. You did say that. Okay.
So yeah, it's a hard game to play.
I agree.
Um,
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
I agree. I agree.
and if you're a restaurant, you're as good as your last meal too. So we're like that as well.
That's
So
true.
we're as good as our last tech support session. So
I agree. I agree. All right. The last point that I want to make, because we're going on 40 minutes here. Strengthening executive level buy-in, because a lot of MSPs struggle with this. I don't know. The C-suite makes them nervous. Who knows, right? Because they're only speaking to IT managers or directors, and they're not communicating with the C-suite. And do you see a problem with that? Because I do. I see a big problem with that.
you do, but a lot of the times in the medium and small business, SBE, small business, you usually are dealing with one person, and if it's not the CEO, then you're going to be dealing with like the office manager or IT manager or whatever. You rarely touch into the CEO
Yeah.
and or the C-suite. I mean, unless you're like I said, unless you're totally tagged up with them all the time.
Do you think it's impossible to reposition yourself to win over the true decision makers? Because the IT managers are not decision makers. They're really gatekeepers to the CEO.
Some of them have the power to decide things.
They do. They do. And there's a lot of great IT managers. I don't want to be like, oh, IT managers stink. No, no. There's a lot of great IT managers that we've partnered with and worked with together on some great projects. So no hate on them. No hate on them. But I do want to stress that you should try. You should do everything possible to cozy up to the CEO or to a C-suite executive, because they are coming down. They're the ones making the final decision, and you want to position yourself as somebody who delivers value. And something like, again, I'm gonna use an example of what I would say. For example, like instead of saying like, "Oh, your firewall is outdated, we need to replace it," how about saying something along the lines of upgrading your firewall will reduce downtime by 30%, lower operational costs, and improve compliance, right? If
Right.
getting the compliance regulated. That would be a better way to approach it, because, again, you're delivering value. You want to highlight the benefits of upgrading the firewall. All right, let me just close this out with a quick plug on the MSP Corner. And that we're on a mission to deliver valuable content to our members. And as founders of an MSP, we know the struggles. We still go through the struggles. There's struggles everywhere. But we've developed a platform designed to help guide CEOs of MSPs through their own challenges. And we're building frameworks that solve the marketing and selling puzzle. I can sell, I can market. Gregory's great with operations, so you got some valuable resources. Plus, we have other resources that will be very valuable to IT service firms. All right, my conclusion is that building your MSP isn't about selling harder, right? It's about becoming a partner, an indispensable partner. And by understanding client evolution, solving problems proactively, and engaging decision makers, you're going to unlock massive growth, massive opportunities. The floodgates will open up. All right, thanks for joining us. And if you've enjoyed this episode, stay tuned for more insights on scaling your MSP, marketing, selling value the smart way. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to sign up to be a member on www.mspcorner.com. Please share our link with a CEO who will find our information beneficial to their business. Have an awesome day.